Alright guys, headed to this customer. They said their unit 1 is in comm loss. Unit 1 is right here. Let's see. Get those numbers right there. Probably my favorite package units to work on, Linux. Oh, looky here. Door fell off. Well, that's not good. It's definitely not good. Let's see. Don't see any other panels off anywhere else, anything like that. Water trails show those are working. Those are all running. This one is not. So, let's see. Alright, so there is no power to the unit. The breaker must be tripped. So I'm going to tone out all 3 compressor stages at the contactors here. Try to do this one-handed here. Come on. Good. 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 Now, see if I can find a good way to test them to ground here. So that one's on a ground, a decent ground anyway. Nothing. Nothing to ground. Nothing to ground. Nothing to ground. Nothing to ground. Nothing. 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 Okay, so everything looks okay in general. Let's go talk to the manager and see if that breaker is in fact tripped. Still no power. Breaker tripped again after turning power on, and it looks like the VFD here is the trouble. If you look at how burnt it is, and it looks like the circuit board is separating, all burnt. That's the inside board cover, and then this board, I don't know, it's really kind of crispy. All the connections, the wires look good for the connections, but definitely dirty in all sorts of places. But the VFD is definitely what looks like exploded here. It's not supposed to be separated like that. It's supposed to look like that. Part number. I'll bring y'all back when I do some more checking here. At least all my compressors and contactors seem to be okay. But do a little more checking and then I'll bring y'all back. Loose ground could be one problem there. Definitely. Should not be loose like that. course not. It's not easy to get these VFDs these days. Alright, so it is a bad VFD. By testing the VFD itself, it's internally shorted. So it has factory VFDs usually have 2 wiring harnesses, right? See, both same color wires. They don't go together. That's me already bypassing it. But these plugs go to the unit plugs. And what I mean by that, so your 2 wires from the VFD here, one is for line, one is for the motor. And they're specific plugs. It's basically dummy proof, right? They only plug in one way. So your blower contactor wiring harness goes to the VFD motor wiring harnesses, so that when it engages the VFD, it uses the VFD to energize the contactor before it goes to the motor. So this wiring harness goes all the way to our line voltage here. I know there's a plug in the way. Line voltage there, and plugs into the line voltage plug for the VFD there. And so it goes from your line voltage into your VFD, out of your VFD to your motor. And to bypass it, you just unplug your 2 VFDs and then plug them together. So unplug. This is the hard one here to do one-handed. Well, if I can get it undone here. So you unplug your VFD harnesses, plug them together, because there's not going to be any power there for high voltage. So plugging them together just keeps the wires out of the way. Tuck them back, and then you take your other 2 harnesses, and plug them together. As hard as that is, one-handed here. Let me plug them in and I'll bring you back. So then those plug together, and of course they're zip tied, but to trace the wires you have to unzip tie all of them. So now that VFD is bypassed until we can get a new VFD sent to us, and we should be able to turn this one back on now. Coming back after untripping the breaker again, see if bypassing it is going to work. It's off. Here goes nothing. So, power on my board. That's a good sign, good sign. And I heard the blower turn on. It's running, so that's a good sign. It's not the blower that's the issue, it's just the VFD. Bypassing it will work until they send us one, or we get one. Probably be a long time before we get a VFD like that. Parts like that and boards and specialty stuff like that is hard to come by these days. Hard to come by these days. So now, as soon as all three of my compressors just kicked on, they sound okay. Getting cool on the suction lines. It'll take it a while. Operating under a giant load down there with it not working for a while. We're still doing okay. Main menu. And that DAT number there, that's going to be the temperature of the air supplied to the building. ZAT is zone temperature of wherever the thermostat is, and then set point of 72. So it was at 70 on DAT, and it's slowly dropping. I don't know how well you can see that here. Getting there. Kind of wait for that to come down a good amount. With three stages on how big this unit is, we normally see on these Linux is like 45 to 50 on full cooling. So I'll bring you back when we see that. Got the door put back on. Works okay now. Getting down in temperature. Things looking okay. You can tell that our compressors are sweating back. Just a VFD issue. That's gonna wrap this one up, guys. Basically use this video as more of a bypass video of the VFD. And we will return when they actually approve the VFD and we order it. But for now, that'll wrap this one up, guys. Stay comfortable out there.